I'm Taylor. One thing I wanted to speak with you about today was the play side of outside zone. Certain caveats and fronts that will come up and how to handle them. Now, first thing I'm going to draw up is a common front that whether the tight end's away or it's just an open side with spread receivers, is the alignment of a tight two-eye, a five technique, and a linebacker. Now, out of this look, defense can, of course, have a game where the end slants to B gap and the Sam comes over the top. So, obviously, you need an answer for this. I think the way to kind of have a catch-all, at least primarily, is have your zone blocking, have the guard here get some depth and width, a good stretch step, and read the hip of the five technique. If he does come in slide, if he does slant, he's going to have to cross over, get his head across, and seal the five technique inside. He's got some help from the tackle because the tackle knows I do have help, but I can still carry, at least give a good knock with my inside arm to the five technique on the slant the best I can. And then work wide, we call it kind of a skate step where he gets wide and then kind of skates a little bit to block the outside number of the Sam linebacker. He wants to get wide after the initial couple steps because it allows for some room for the ball carrier between the five technique, who the guard should have reached, and the Sam technique, who should keep contained over the top. And the running back can run in the alley somewhere in here. Again, the tackle knows he's got help, so he can give a good stiff arm, kind of a one-arm bench press, and then work out wide to block the play side linebacker. Now, just to touch on the guard again, guard's going to take a good depth and width step. He's going to check the five technique out on the slant. He should be able to cross over if he sees the five come in so he can reach it. It's okay. He crosses over, he gives up a yard of penetration. As long as his body is on this side, the outside of the end, where the end is basically sealed inside, the ball carrier's track should take him out. And he should have plenty of space to run. The ball carrier has from here to the sideline to run. As I mentioned, if the tackle's nice and wide on the play side linebacker, the ball will probably run in front of the five technique who's slanted and behind the Sam linebacker. Now, if he doesn't slant inside and he takes that first initial step with a heavy two-eye, all he has to do is, after he takes that good depth width step, is take that second step and just work vertical. And he should be in position whether you're teaching kind of a one-arm bench press, or you're teaching an uppercut, or you're teaching the square with the arm, the heavy and carry, get back on that two-eye and carry it. Now, one thing I would say is, be careful how much he's coming in, because if things do just play normal, sometimes that Sam can compress everything too. So maybe it's a good idea to have him get a little depth and width and then come knock it and then get really as much as he can back out wide to make that Sam worry about containing over the top as well, because you don't want to get compressed here. On the center's block for this situation, which you want the guard to give him a hand or give him a forearm or give him a little help on the outside zone play. How can he block this two-eye almost by himself if he has to on a five technique who slants inside? Well, very simple. He runs a mini pull technique, a depth and run like a bubble. And this is going to be a couple yards of depth and 3 or 4 yards of width, and he's not going to beat that two-eye vertically until he beats him laterally. He literally drops and runs. He's going to pull around everybody, but he's not. He's getting that kind of depth and width. He's going to go right up through to the two-eye to reaching. And if through muscle memory and development he does get that depth and run, he can reach that two-eye. Worst case scenario, if the two-eye plays with the guard and just mirrors him and runs with him, he still gets his depth and runs, and now he can flip the two-eye out, and the ball can roll. When I say flip, he still tries to work his head outside, but he takes his inside arm and just runs the two-eye this way for the ball to roll behind him. And I think this is the most effective way to do it. I think an ineffective way to do it is, number one, not helping the tackle on the 5 technique with the guard, have him isolated and have the tackle try to take the 5 in. Even if he doesn't give up penetration, it's going to be a cross saw, and the sand can come over the top unblocked because the guard can't get to him. But also, I think just in normal, if you almost try to treat it like a double team, I think it can backfire as well, because he'll stay on the 2-eye, but the Sam, if he's any good, he's going to plug B gap, and there's just not a lot of space to run besides a cutback. But you would have that anyway if the guard did press it and get back outside. And you'll never get to run the ball B gap in this situation relative to the big splits that you'll have if the center gets his depth and runs on his pull technique to reach the 2-eye. Now, very quickly, the other scenario that you'll have is going to be a 3 technique and a 5 technique with a play side backer. So how do you think about this? I believe a similar fashion. Have the guard every play. Unless you know for sure they're never going to run this, as far as the end spiking to B gap and the linebacker over the top and the 3 that they get, have him take a good depth and width step. Check that 5 technique's hip. If he comes in, he's got to cross over, get his head across for the reach. The tackle can carry it and then pump back out, block the linebacker's outside number. The center's doing the same thing. He's getting depth and running. He's going to expect to reach that 3 technique. He's going to his mini pull technique. He's, of course, tighter on the line, so he's got to get depth and run, just like he's pulling around, but yet he won't. And at that point, if it does happen, it should be okay, because he should be able to reach the 3 technique. And remember this, as long as their body is blocking the defender like this, and so the chalkboard being the defender, and they're all the way around to where the penetration is to the inside of them, it's not a critical deal to the play, because on an outside zone play, the running back's path will be wide enough, it'll actually be beneficial. Penetration is not a killer on outside zone if the body position of the blocker giving up penetration is in good position. It actually can create a bigger split than it would be if they were just running down the line, so on and so forth, without giving up any penetration. So with a 3 technique, it's a similar techniques for everybody. The 3 technique stays on the guard just takes his second step, gets vertical, got the outside half. Oftentimes, and this is another reason to run the center on the pull technique, is the 3 technique play in that gray area. He steps up with his inside foot and kind of plays to the inside of the guard without necessarily spiking in. And what will happen is sometimes the guard will reach it, but the center won't be able to get through to the mic, or the center will block it, but he won't be in position because he hasn't got enough depth to actually reach the 3 technique, and the 3 technique will run down the ball carrier. So in that situation, if you get the depth and run from the center, and the guard works through that outside half on his way to the mic, carries it, again, depending on where the mic is, if he's in here, if he's out here, guard still wants to block the outside half of the linebacker. He doesn't want to let the linebacker, kind of firm that up where there's no space outside his block. If you're concerned about the ball never rolling back, I wouldn't be, because I think naturally 3 technique will start flowing with the guard if it happens a couple times, or they'll just be taught that, and you can always tighten it up, whether you have a mid-zone call or whether you just have it in your system where the center now works through to the mic and the running back knows I'm probably going to roll behind the 3 technique. Remember, you can always have the center check for the slant and then knock the 3 technique out and for the ball to cut back. And I think it's important to have a couple of different ways to block the front, something that you can do every day throughout the off season, through the season, as many reps as possible. And you can do this within 10 or 15 minutes, that if hit daily with the muscle memory and with the awareness, should not be that big of a deal. But you do have to coach it and work on it, and factor. So I appreciate you watching this, and I hope this is of value to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.